Kubernetes has one. There is no such thing as infrastructure as a service. It's all about Kubernetes. Kubernetes is your control plane for infrastructure. Uh, and where's the innovation going to happen? Is it going to be Kubernetes or below? Is it going to be above Kubernetes APIs, or is it going to be? Is there still stuff that needs to happen between legacy storage vendors and compute to inside Kubernetes in the uh, in the data plane area, or is it control plane stuff? Where's innovation going to happen?
I think it's going to happen both below and above. I mean, the way that Adam and we've been talking about another startup possibly, but the way we've been thinking about it is that Kubernetes is kind of like a narrow waist where everything meets, kind of like TCP/IP, right? There's some innovation that'll happen below it. There's some innovation that'll happen above it. But when we went out and we started interviewing people who were using Kubernetes, there were some things that really just came through loud and clear. One was that developers and operators were finding it to be this place where they could kind of meet in the middle. Like in the past, you would have these very static kind of deployment models where developers would write the code, then you would hand it over to the ops guys, and they would go through a process whereby they tested it and then deployed it into staging and then eventually production. And they don't really talk anymore, right? Now, what you're finding is that, you know, the ops guys are taking care of, you know, kind of the Kubernetes cluster and the infrastructure below it. They're using the Kubernetes APIs and command line interfaces to basically control it and understand the state and to, you know, put commonly used services in it that, you know, are across all the different kind of app consumers or app developers, like directory services and things like that. And then you got the app developers who are using the Kubernetes pieces sort of the end of their deployment pipeline, and they're using the same APIs, the same command line interfaces, and they're able to see how their app is doing, you know, in a deployed Kubernetes cluster, and also look at the apps, the other apps of the other app developers that were there. So now they actually care about what's running in production, you know, 24/7. They're using all the automation and tooling. They've got more visibility than they've ever had before into not only their deployment, but others' deployments. And they have this common place where basically they meet with ops to sort of be able to resolve problems. I mean, everybody wants DevOps, but really what you're seeing is you're seeing Kubernetes be sort of this interface between the app developers and the operators. And it's working at scale. And as long as it can be that continued interface for them to negotiate, you know, how things are going to run in production, I mean, everybody kind of wins. Because, you know, there's, as much as I do believe in the idea of DevOps, the reality is that what we get is we mostly get people who are mostly app developers or mostly operators. There aren't very many people that can straddle. And, you know, there is sort of a difference in mindset and education between people who write code and people who run systems. I mean, that's just all there is to it. I mean, there's, you know, many of the people I know who run systems just really don't have an aptitude for writing code, and asking them to doesn't make sense. And, you know, you're not DevOps if you're just cooking up Ansible and Chef and Puppet recipes, in my opinion. That's not software development. Those are recipe-based, you know, workflow, you know, systems management tools. They're not development tools, right? So, you know, that's really why I think Kubernetes is one. It's got an opinionated approach. It says how you deploy the app. It says how you upgrade the app. It says how you monitor the app. You know, what optionality you do have, like whether it's service meshes or something like that, is fairly limited. It's not, you know, a list of 10 things. It's 2 or 3 things.
Yeah.
And so that's all very manageable.